Hey, welcome to the video. Here's what I need you to do. Smash the like button, subscribe to the page, and check out the podcast below in the description.
This video is sponsored by Indeed.com/ham, where right now you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/ham. They went and beat the Colts on Sunday and now play in maybe the most dramatic game potentially of Week 18 against the Chargers, with a chance for Rich Bisaccia and Derek Carr to take the Raiders to the playoffs.
For as big of a failure as it would be if the Niners missed the playoffs, it would be one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen if the Raiders went 10-7 and won this game. It truly would. I mean, when you factor in the things that happened to them in that month stretch of the coach, the Brandon Cooks incident, and even the Damon Arnett incident, like, it was just, what is going on? For them to win today, obviously we put $500 against them, but a lot had to go of, I watched them play last year. Now, you could argue Rivers probably better than Carson, even though Carson's numbers this year are pretty good, but it just, the Colts are way better. They led the league in Pro Bowlers. It was in Indy. The Raiders got their ass kicked last year in Vegas. Listen, they had to be one of the sexier picks to bet against because the line kept going up. It started at like 6, was all the way up at 9 by the kickoff. And early on, you could tell like the Raiders are kind of here to play, and the Colts were off. And then they just kept it around. Derek made a couple bad plays, but for the most part, that game-winning touchdown, I guess he kind of had the walk-off touchdown to Renfro, but he had another touchdown to him on the roll. He made some just incredible plays. He really did. And Josh Jacobs, really good player, but it's not like he is Mr. Dependable. I mean, he gets hurt in every single game, right? So he's not like when he's fully healthy, he's a really good player. He's like a top 7-ish running back in the NFL. But unlike, like Dalvin Cook, for the most part, or Derrick Henry when he doesn't have a broken foot, like he just plays the whole game, right? Alvin Kamara. Like Jacobs disappears in every game, so you can't even depend on him. And then they're throwing to, because, listen, they do get Waller back this week, who they would have had, he got his test so late in the week that kind of fucked him. So that's a guy they haven't had. I feel like I haven't seen Darren Waller in 2 months. I think they've even won some of these games, guy, without Darren Waller. Renfro has had moments this year. He's been incredible. Because if I'm the defensive coordinator, they're throwing to Renfro or Zay Jones, especially if Jacobs is out of the game. Like, that's who he's going to, Hunter Renfro. And I love Hunter Renfro, but it shouldn't be this easy for him. He gets in one-on-one coverage a lot. Guy, he had 7 catches for 76 yards today.
Yeah. Zay Jones was really good. Zay Jones has actually been pretty good for them.
Yeah, Zay Jones has been good.
Over the course of this 3-game winning streak. He's 6 catches, 8 catches for 120 yards, deep threat. He's been good. I don't know if it's the 7, the single digit, looking the Marquette King number. You wonder how could they keep this up? But Derek also just he threw an interception that didn't end up killing him. And he made some really impressive plays, right? He was 24-31 in the game, and he threw 2 picks. But I also think it's always easy with hindsight, just talking about the bet, but just simply for as solid as the Colts feel, Carson just, I support what they did, and they could win some playoff games, but I don't know, man.
Well, here's the thing.
They lack a dynamic element to their offense right now.
Patriots and the Bills are both in the playoffs. They both secured spots. Now, they depend. If the Bills win next week, they win the division. If the Bills lose and the Patriots win, they win the division. But the 1 through 5, we know the 5 teams in. The Colts are in the playoffs too. They play the Jags this week. Like, did you see the Jags 1-2-3 Cancun? They did that about 3 weeks. Like, it's over. So it truly is, guy. It's because the Pittsburgh Steelers cannot get to Pittsburgh's done. I mean, they can't get to 9 wins. I mean, one of these two teams, unless there's a tie, I guess the only way the Steelers can get in if these two teams tie, because they would be 9-7-1. Whoever wins this game is going to the playoffs. Can we assume the Colts are beating the Jags? How are they going to lose that game?
Yeah. Is going to the playoffs or going to Kansas City? Or I guess Kansas City can still be the 1 seed.
Yeah, who the Titans play? Titans play the Texans.
Okay. I was going to say that would be pretty to end up in Tennessee as the last seed of the NFL playoffs. Sorry, the AFC playoffs I know Tennessee's good, but that's not playing Kansas City. That'd be a hell of a break.
Here's the thing. The Raiders make the playoffs this year. Whatever happens in the playoff game's great.
Oh, I agree.
Do you think if they win this game, which it's weird, like the Chargers should win, but I'm not. I wouldn't.
I think it's a great game because they're both kind of untrustworthy.
Yeah,
I love this game.
If he wins this game, does Rich at least get like a 2-year contract? Just like, hey, kind of one of those fake college type things.
I mean, in adverse situations, very adverse situations, I'd have to give him a lot of credit. Now you'd say, all right, we're going to take a step back and kind of evaluate. You don't need a new defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, I guess they wouldn't be. I saw the chat. They wouldn't be a lock to be the 7 seed because technically, if the Colts are the 6 and they both have the same record, they have the head-to-head over them. So the Colts could go down to 7, they could be 6.
So
they could end up playing the Bengals or the Bills. It just depends who wins next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Green added that as well. Raiders can't be the 7 if they win since they have the tiebreaker over the Colts. So minimum 6 seed.
But it also depends. Like if the Patriots were to lose to Miami, then it does the tiebreakers. Like a lot of things can. I think a lot of people assume the Patriots and the Bills are both going to win, so they're not all in the. Like once you get
the
3 or 4 team tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Because you could argue if the Patriots go, the Bills are playing the Jets. So if you're the Patriots, do you kind of go pseudo bye against Miami and just who gives a shit? We're going to play the Bills. We'll just be 10-7 because I might think like that. They're playing.
What does that mean exactly?
Pseudo bye.
When you say does that mean Mac Jones doesn't play?
Yeah, I might think about it.
Because if Mac Jones plays, you're not putting your backup offensive line in there. Not that you have 5. I don't know. It's a good question.
It's just something to keep an eye on this week. I think you'd be shocked. Some of that might happen if you feel pretty confident the other team's playing a really shitty team. Which they're playing the Jets.
But to your point, I mean, all that stuff is secondary too. They got to win the game, and if they win the game, Rich Bisaccia is 7-5 in a really wild circumstance. And it's not just Ruggs and then Gruden. I would add to it that you lost 3 games in a row, got your ass kicked at home by the Bengals, and then we're playing on Thanksgiving on a short week against a pretty good. Say what you want. I mean, they're not great to me. They're flawed, but a pretty damn good Cowboys team, right?
Yeah.
And they like that. I give the coach deserves credit for that. Now, then they lost 2 more. Okay. The Browns game, really weird, adverse situation for them, right? They end up playing that game. It's freezing. That ended up on a Monday afternoon, right? That was the Monday afternoon game, not the Tuesday. Or did that end up on Tuesday?
Monday, I think.
December 20th, yeah.
Yeah, because then it was Vikings, Bears. Monday Night Football was terrible, remember?
That's right. So, I do think you should – I would always be a little careful with interim coaches and just, hey, man, what you did was great. Sometimes what an interim coach does is great, but also doesn't warrant them becoming the head coach of your whole organization and the person in charge of everything. But he absolutely deserves serious consideration. Period. And if they win this game, I mean, they're playing a team that's very talented, that has every reason to win, that's got a coach that, as we've talked about, like a lot of people are giving Brandon Staley a lot of credit.
Do you think Derek's respect around the league, given the second half, the guys he's been playing with, Zay Jones and Renfro? And now Renfro's a really good player, but Zay Jones is his best true outside wide receiver.
Yeah,
Renfro's a slot. Do you think he's earned a lot of respect around the NFL of like, God, this guy's got some grit and fight to him? I mean, guys, he went on the road to beat the Colts, who are, I think, viewed as a very tough team around the league.
I don't know if he's earned a lot of respect. I think there was a pretty good baseline of respect for him, but also a belief that he's not a top-tier quarterback. And he can change that part. You win this week, you go into the playoffs, you win a playoff game, because that's what this is. Even though it's Raiders against the world, they shouldn't even be in this position. We've written them off 3 times, all that stuff. if they get to the playoffs, as great of a story as it is, there's also going to be this, all right, here's your first shot at a playoff game for Derek Carr, right? Like that's going to be a big moment. But it'll feel like they have just some organizational momentum that they haven't had. I mean, in some ways, even before he was gone. Now, they were playing well this year, so I don't want to rewrite history, but kind of felt like the Gruden thing was a little bit of a cloud. Like, is this going to work? And if not, are we just tied into this forever? And they kind of got a they got a release from it. So it's kind of a fresh start for them in a way that you never would have wanted it. But yeah, I mean, it's, he's almost 69% passing. He's on pace to have his second best season from a completion standpoint. Not from a touchdown standpoint, but I don't know. Maybe he throws, what if he throws 3 touchdowns against the Chargers, has 23 touchdowns? That'll be the 4th highest number he's ever had in his career, which now we're 9 years in? 8 years. This will be his 8th year. So it'll be, 12 picks. Yeah. I mean, if he gets this team to the playoffs, first of all, he gets the contract extension.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, like, being the 7 seed, it's still early in the process. People go, are you a true playoff team? If they win this game, they'd be the 6 seed. Like, that would be, you're a true playoff team in our lifetime, right?
Right.
And I know it's kind of stupid, but that is a big, like, if the Niners and the Raiders are 6 seeds, it's a little bit different being the 7 seeds. Like, you made the true playoffs in every setup over the last however many years. It's been like that, at least ever since I can remember, right? Definitely.
And in a tough division.